If you think of giving up, then remember why you started. This is episode 16 of the Audacity to Lead podcast. What to do when starting over.
I love my country, I don't go lie. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Make we join our hands, build our land. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I love my job, I don't go lie. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, carry the banner, make we shine. It's my job.
Looking to make the leap from potential to productive performance? Thinking of starting up with business, career, ministry, or your life tasks? Join Dayo Samuel on the Audacity to Lead podcast as he shares tips, steps, and strategies to help you chart a compelling course for your life.
Thank you for joining us again on this episode of the Audacity to Lead podcast. This is the podcast dedicated to helping you make the leap from potential to productive performance. Tara is still here with me.
Hi.
And our goal is to help you get started, get focused, and be impactful. Tara,
Okay.
what are we discussing on this episode?
Okay, I was just about saying that on this episode we'll be discussing what to do when starting over.
Yep.
Okay, so now let's hear from you.
Well, on the last episode, we discussed what to do when you're starting for the first time.
Yeah.
And this episode is particular to somebody who has started with whatever it is he wants to do with his life, but then on the long run, he or she ended up leaving that thing to go for something else, or maybe abandoned the whole thing and then left it completely and just lost interest in the whole thing. You get it? So this episode is particularly dedicated to those people, our listeners, who are starting over. And you know, it's not as easy to, or let me say, it's easier to start again than to start up for the first time.
Yeah, very
Because at first you would have learned some lessons. And starting for the first time takes a lot of energy. Like a rocket, you require a lot of pumping to shoot out for the first time. But let's say the first time you tried it, you didn't succeed.
It reminds me of what someone said most of the times the first things he tries out is normally trial and error. I think that was you who said that. So by the time you do it again, then you just start mastering it. You do it again and again and again. Just like the saying is, expertise is a product of consistent practice. So okay, so now let's get down into
to start over again. Or better I said, what to do when you're starting over. The first thing to do is to identify where you went wrong the first time, because you know, like someone will say, the stupidity to be doing the same thing over and over again,
expecting
a different result.
Exactly.
So the first thing to do is to sit down and analyze, evaluate, and review what you did the first time, where you went wrong. I remember there was a time, the two of us, you and I, Tara, that we said we were going to start something completely afresh, that we want to start something all over it. And you remember what I told you that time? I said, before we move further, what are the things we did wrong the other time? And we listed, I think when I was bringing my list to you, I wrote out about 20 things we were doing wrong that time, and maybe 20 things you said.
Interesting. Supposedly said, actually, because you misread what I was saying. Okay, now back to the podcast.
Okay, so when starting over, the first thing to do is to sit down, evaluate, analyze, and review what you were doing the first time. But then after that, the next thing to do, which is just the main thing I would explain here, is to activate the law of commitment. Because activating the law of commitment is the secret to winning. If you remember, Jesus said, "No man having put his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the kingdom of God."
Yeah, all or nothing.
Yeah, thank you. I like that statement. Well, success in anything really is a matter of commitment. To succeed at whatever thing at all, there's a quantifiable degree of commitment required to make it work. If you're not going to be committed to something, there's no way you can make that thing work. So if you're starting over, the first thing to get intent clear about is, are you going to be committed to this thing? Loss of focus is maybe distraction, so to say, is because the options are available. When you eliminate every option available and you just focus on one thing, it's easier to be committed to that thing.
I like that. I think I'll apply that very well in my life. Okay.
So when we are talking about commitment, what does commitment mean? Commitment simply means for you to commit to something. It simply means to practice something continuously or to form a habit until you get a certain result. That's what commitment means.
Okay.
Well, as you are looking at me right now, someone said the difference between interest and commitment is, he said, when some people are interested in doing something, only a few people are committed to doing that thing. It is when they move from the level of interest to commitment, that's when you get extreme, excellent results.
Almost like the saying, losers do occasionally what winners do habitually. So now it's more like, I'm sticking my head in this ground. I'm not going to move. It's all or nothing. I'm just going to get focused, get started, and be impactful. Okay, so now let's hear.
A man by the name Swami Vivekananda said, take up an idea, make that idea your life, think of it, live on that idea. Let your brain, muscles, nerves, every part of your body be full of that idea. This is how great spiritual giants are produced. Okay. Now, that's that about commitment. But then there are just a few things I would like to share with you. And that is when you're starting over again. Number one is be willing to pay the price necessary for the fulfillment of your purpose. Every accomplishment is preceded by some commitment. Commitment to your life task, commitment to your calling, commitment to what you are called to do. We actually take a lot from you. But it is only when you are willing to pay the price, that's when you get a result. So when they are starting over again, you must clearly identify, okay, what is the price I'm going to pay? And then determine that. Number 3 is be flexible enough to change in the planning stage of your vision. Vision is fluid. It flows into the form you give it.
Okay.
If you are flexible when you are sitting down to analyze and evaluate what you have done so far, and then you say, okay, this is where I went wrong. Now, when you want to develop the plan for execution for this startup, the new startup you are trying, what to do is to, like I was saying, I said, be flexible enough to accept change. By that, it means you say, okay, this is how I've done it before. Yes, I mustn't do it this same way.
Okay.
Do you get that?
Yeah.
Now, you may have tried some things and you got some results. Well, it is in trying several other things that you can learn what will work and what will not work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So now we go to maybe the third tip is for you to run whatever it is you want to do on principles and not on opinions. People will always come to you with ideas, opinions, perspectives, whatever it is they have to share with you. But unless you determine to run your life, your calling, your purpose, your life task on principles, you won't actually get anything done, especially when you're starting over. Because when you started the first time, you would have probably listened to some people, or probably read, or watched, or seen some things which you maybe you had information overload.
Okay.
But when you are starting over, you have to get clear on principles you run with. It's not every opinion, it's not every idea people share with you that will help you when you're starting over.
Very true. I've been there before. I had a breakdown in a particular area in my life. So when I wanted to start all over again, I had to, make it clear who am I going to be listening to, and I had to make it clear how I'm going to, pay attention to developing that particular area of my life. And over time, I have seen it that being principled pays. Being principled pays.
And then the last thing I will share with you is, according to E.W. Kenyon, he said, struggle to improve in every effort, improve the dream. That is, what E.W. Kenyon was trying to say is, find out what you want to do. Of course, from episode 7 or 8, where we started these 11 essentials of a great life task, from number 1 till this number 16 till this number 10, you would have identified what you want to do with your life. But then E.W. Kenyon said, struggle to improve in every effort, improve the dream. That is, what you started the first time, when you are starting over again, make sure you are not gunning, you are not aiming for the same level. Let's say when you're starting for the first time, the level you were gunning for was 1,000. When you are starting over again, move it up to, let's say, like 2,000. Why do I have to bring that in? That's because if you were gunning for the same level which you started with, you won't have the pump and the motivation required to actually be committed to it. But if you increase it,
like taking the same, going round
the same circle. Exactly. So if you increase it and just say, okay, before the goal was 1,000, now this time around it's 2,000. The moment you decide that, what you find is your energy, momentum will be built. You will have more pump inside of you to want to fulfill it, and that will result in commitment.
Okay, speaking of dream and pump to this, I saw this comical display picture that said, chase after your dreams, and if you don't get to it, at least you lose some weight. Okay. So now, I've learned 3 things right now from this summary you just gave. You said we should actually be flexible, we should be principled, and then we should constantly improve. Okay, I like that. Okay, so tell us more.
Well, there's no more.
Interesting. Okay,
this is one of the roundup of this whole series, so it's definitely going to be short, possibly maybe shorter than other episodes. But the goal is actually clear, to help somebody who's getting carried over to know what to do.
Like I said earlier, if you think of
giving up,
remember why you started.
Well, this is where we'll end this episode of the Audacity to Live podcast. If you have questions or anything you want to suggest to us, kindly go to audacitytolib.com/1616 and leave a comment for us there. We'll be glad to answer you. Tara?
Yes, dear?
What other words do you have for our listeners?
I believe everybody who has given up, everybody who has maybe one thing or the other caused you to stop what you were going after, I believe there's always a chance to start all over again. More like what people say, there's always a second chance. And even if you've blown the second chance, there's always a third chance. So just keep trying, because you are most likely to make it. I saw one other picture, when you're reaching out for success, you start off at the idea level, then it moves on to a project, then you try it for the first time, you try it again and again and again until you do it well. then before you know it, you're a successful person. So I believe that everybody can stand up and stand out.
Yeah, definitely.
So you can stand up and stand out.
Yeah, you can stand up and stand out. I want to say thank you for listening again.
Thank you.
If you are yet to listen to other episodes, kindly visit audacitytolead.com and then click on the tab called podcasts. In fact, if you go to this episode, audacitytolead.com/16, you will find links to previous episodes there. Well, this is where we're going to end this episode again.
Okay. So on our next episode, we'll be talking on get on stage. Wow, I can't wait for that. Like, get on stage after everything, after you've gone through all these processes. It's now time to get on stage. Yeah. Okay. We're going to talk more on that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Remember, get focused, get started,
and be impactful.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Audacity to Lead podcast. We believe you've been inspired and greatly challenged to step out and lead with more influence and impact. Till next Tuesday, when we bring you another episode of the podcast. For more resources, visit audacitytolead.com.
Compact tracks, Nigeria's call obey to serve our fatherland with love and strength and faith. The labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain. To serve with heart and mind, one nation bound in freedom, peace and unity. I love my country, I love the life. Carry the banner. Make we join our hands, build our land. I love Nigeria, I love the life. Carry the banner. Oh yeah, carry the banner, make we shine. Avalanche on the city. Make we